Hello, welcome back. So, in the second session, we will be discussing the research challenges that are associated with the analysis or diagnosis of diabetic retinopathy. So, in order to have more clarity in the voice, I will be disconnecting the video so that the voice becomes more clear. So, please excuse for that. So, to start with, various research challenges that we face during the analysis of diabetic retinopathy. Here we start with first what are the analyses that are required for the diagnosis of retinopathy. For example, in case of diabetic retinopathy using fundus image, we have to identify the optic disc. As you can see here, the identification of this optic disc is very much essential for the analysis of retinopathy. This optic disc detection is required for various requirements such as we can see, the intensity of this optic disc and the intensity of the exudates are very much similar in nature. So in order to have lesser amount of mismatches or lesser amount of false positive, we have to identify and mark the optic disc when we are detecting the exudates. Similarly, other requirements like in order to identify macular edema, we have to localize the regions by taking the optic disc diameter. So these uses make the optic disc detection very much essential. So first requirement is detection of optic disc, and along with optic disc detection, the blood vessel detection also comes into picture. So it is also a necessary part of the analysis. Then after that, we have to go for identification of bright and dark lesions. As you can see here, these are the bright lesions, and these dots represents various patches of bloods or hemorrhages. These are the dark spots. So identification of these dark spots are very much essential. And then segmentation of the bright lesions, and these are the bright lesions containing hard exudates, soft exudates, autumnal spots. So identification of these are also important. Then once the abnormalities are getting identified, next stage is for grading the retinopathy stage. So in order to identify the retinopathy stage or grading, we have to analyze it depending on the amount of deposition or the quantity of deposition. For example, if there are no microaneurysm or no hemorrhages available, then we call it as grade 0. Then it is called as grade 1 if there are no hemorrhages but microaneurysms are present with a number of 0 to 5. Then it is called as grade 2 if microaneurysm appear more than 5 to 15 and hemorrhages are between 0 to 5 and there is no presence of any neovascularization. So neovascularization means there are no new blood vessels available, newly grown blood vessels. Then second case, then the last stage is your grade 3 where microaneurysms are more than 15 and hemorrhages are more than 5 and we see neovascularization. So these are various grading stages which are required for identification of diabetic retinopathy. Next, in order to classify or in order to analyze the maculopathy, we have to identify the phobia first, because considering the phobia at the center, we have to determine the amount of abnormalities present in a range of or in a circle of 2 optic disc diameter. Therefore, the first requirement here is the detection of phobia. So, in order to identify phobia, obviously we have to go for identification of other uh, uh, other regions that are optic disc and blood vessels. Then once the phobia is identified, next requirement is identification of bright and dark lesions, which is similar to diabetic retinopathy. And then for grading of macular edema or diabetic maculopathy, we have to identify the presence of these lesions in the region of two optic disc diameter. Now here, as you can see, the different regions are shown in different colors. So for grading purpose, if there are abnormalities present outside this circle, then it is considered as grade 0. That means the person is not having any maculopathy signs. But it is not necessary that the person is not having diabetic retinopathy. For example, suppose as you can see here, there are various bright lesions present here. But if there are no lesions present in this circle, then the person is not having diabetic maculopathy. Other the person is having diabetic retinopathy. Now the various stages are like for the mild stage, we can see here, mild stage is light between a region of 2 optics diameter to 1 optic diameter. So this is the region for mild stage, the outer circle. Then the then the middle circle is called as the moderate stage, and which is lying between a region of 1/3 of optic disc diameter to 1 optic disc diameter. Then the severe stage is obtained within a region of 1/3 of optic disc diameter. So if any abnormalities are lying within these three regions, then we can grade the diabetic maculopathy stages. Now, in order to identify diabetic maculopathy with respect to optic disc analysis, we have to go for these few steps. Whereas you can see here, first requirement is to remove is the removal of speckle noise present. As you can see here in this image, these are the speckle noise which are formed during the formation of the image. So these noise pixels will have their effect while detecting various layers or various other regions like cyst identification or various exudus identification. So these noise regions will hamper the detection process. So therefore, the first requirement of OCT analysis is the removal of speckle noise. Now, next is the identification of DM detection. For DM detection, what we have to do is we have to identify the ILM layer and the RP layer. ILM layer is the first membrane layer or the layer of the retina. That means, as you can see here, the first layer, this lesion is called as the ILM layer. So identification of this ILM layer and RP layer is this layer. As you can see here, the brightest last layer of the retina. So identification of these two layers and then obtaining the thickness between them will let us identify the presence of diabetic maculopathy. For example, as we have seen in the earlier image where we have discussed into a normal OCT diagram, as you can see here, the thickness in the macular region is very much less in case of normal cases, but with progression of diabetes, this thickness increases. As you can see here, the thickness is increased. So by putting a threshold, we can identify whether a retina is normal or an abnormal one. So to move on with OCT analysis. So for DM detection, we have to identify the thickness between ILM layer and RPE layer. So for instance, here we do not check only in the fovea region, but also check in the nearby regions. For example, we can check it in fovea region, then at a distance of 150 pixels, both in the right hand side and left hand side, and again at a distance of 250 pixels. So which will give us a comparison of normal retinal image and diabetic retinal image. Next, once the DM detection is performed, then we go for identification of the cyst region present. As we can see here, these are the cystoid fluids that are accumulated here in the retina. So the cyst fluids are formed due to the leakage of blood vessels. As we know, while discussing the diabetic retinopathy, we have seen that the abnormalities appear over the fundus image or over the retinal image due to the leakage of blood vessels. Now, these blood vessels are lying over the surface of the retina, but at the same time, there are various blood vessels that are lying over the upper lining of retina and the lower lining of retina. Now, these blood vessels, due to diabetic retinopathy, start penetrating the retinal layers. So, while penetrating, if they burst, they will accumulate fluids. So, these fluids later, in the later stage, are observed as various cysts. So these cysts are formed due to the accumulation of blood. Now, for identification of this cyst is the third stage of identifying diabetic maculopathy using OCT analysis. So these are the three methods that we use for analysis of retinopathy. Now, there are various challenges which we observe during the analysis or during processing of these images. Now, in case of image processing case, if we say that here we have to identify the basic properties of a normal image and the difference of it with the diabetic retinopathy image. If we can identify the difference, then we can identify the diabetic retinopathy. Now, here various challenges start with clinical challenges. So, as we have already discussed that for determining the retinopathy or for determining the stages of retinopathy, we have to go for annual eye examination, because if the person is having a blur vision, that means he is already at a higher stage of retinopathy. Therefore, whenever a person is having diabetes, then after a certain period, the person is advised to go for annual eye examination. And I will also prefer that each and every person must go for annual eye examination, because the problem that arises inside our retina is not only due to diabetes. There may be various other symptoms also, other diseases also, which will cause hamper to our retina. So that is why annual eye examination is very much essential. Now, if we start calculating the number of patient and number of doctor ratio, it is found that one doctor is associated with total 72,000 patients. So it becomes almost impossible for the doctors to identify various stages or various symptoms of retinopathy. So here we have to go for automated analysis, because if a doctor starts examining with this ratio, then after a certain period of time, there will be various human error due to fatigue. So that is why if we can identify the preliminary stages, or as we can say here is, if we can identify the presence of diabetic retinopathy, then using an automatic algorithm, then it will be very much helpful for the doctor, so that they can then concentrate over the retinopathy cases only, and the normal cases will be eliminated. So in this way, we can help the medical fraternity by by using various automated algorithms for identification of retinopathy. So automated screening programs help in this case. Then other challenges are like while obtaining the images. So as we can see here, there are various issues related to fundus images as shown. For example, in the first image, as you can see here, the availability or the presence of bright boundary due to the camera flash, improper camera flash. Then second case is background subtraction. This also arises due to the presence of improper flashing of the camera light. So as you can see here, this region information is almost not available, because it is already suppressed by the background. Then improper positioning. So if the patient under observation, if he or she is moving his eye and not or in a proper steady state, then this type of issues occur, where we cannot, as you can see here, we cannot identify properly the optic disc region, because the optic disc region is slightly slight region of the optic disc have been eliminated here during the imaging process. Then improper focusing is if the focusing is not proper, then also we cannot identify, although the image has been taken. For example, here as you can see here, we cannot identify where the optic disc lies or where the blood vessel lies because these all are moving into a blur section. So these are various image challenges. So in order to eliminate these challenges, we have to go for various solutions like proper focusing of the camera setup. Now there are other difficulties like presence of noise, which occur due to the availability or due to the deposition of various dust particle over the camera lens. So we have to, in order to remove that in the imaging itself, we have to make our system neat and clean. Now next is identification of proper field of view localization. That means the area which is not or which is our actual requirement and which is not affected by lightning or the camera flash that can be identified. For example, as you can see here, this is the original image that has been taken. Now, if we can eliminate this bright region by identifying a proper field of view, as you can see here in this image, then these bright regions are getting eliminated. Now, our requirement is only this inside in the inside region. So, this outer layer will not hamper the detection process now, by which is done by boundary subtraction. Now, next, eliminating of images with less information. For example, as we can see in the earlier image, the suppression by background background information or improper focusing. These images can be eliminated by obtaining or by eliminating using various algorithms. Now, various other algorithms for improving the intensities or improving or normalizing the color information, we can go for various algorithms like color normalization, Chopin transformation, and so on. Now, in case of OCT images, the first and foremost difficulty is the presence of speckle noise. Now, the presence of this speckle noise increases more if the subject is not stable. If the person is not stable and if the person is vibrating or he is shaking his eye, then there might be images, as we can see here in the second image, there might be images which we obtain may have this type of views where we can see the number of speckle noise increases. So in order to get rid of that, we have to go for stable setups for making the person stable enough so that we can get a proper OCT image. Then, in order to remove these noises, we have to go for multiplicative noise filters because the speckle noise are multiplicative in nature, and we cannot go for normal filters because they will blur the image. And if the image is blurred, then we cannot identify the edge informations. As you can see from basic principle of image processing, if the image is blurred, we cannot identify the edges because the edge informations are lost during the filtering process. Now moving into other signal processing challenges, here we have clubbed all the fundus image processing challenges into one slide and I will go one by one. So to start with the optic detection. So optic intensity are very much similar to exudates. As you can see here, these are exudates region and this is optic disc region. So these are very much similar in intensity. And if we say that optic disc is the brightest region of the image, then there might be some other exudates region which may appear more brighter than the optic disc. So using intensity property will not help here. So that is why we can go for other secondary properties of optic disc, such as like we can use the blood vessel property because blood vessel originates from optic disc. And generally exudates do not appear near the optic disc region. But there are other cases where we have the presence of peri-peri-peri atrophy. Now here, as we can see here, optic disc also have some exudate regions. So due to the presence of this, we cannot identify the proper boundary of the optic disc. So that is why this is the second challenge for identification of optic disc. Then error due to severe retinopathy cases. For example, like here, as you can see, there are a few examples shown for error due to severe retinopathy cases. As you can see here, the optic disc must have been identified here, but due to the presence of brighter exudates, the optic disc is getting identified here. Similarly, these are few some other cases. So that is why identification of optic disc is very much challenging. Then next case is the identification of phobia. So for identification of phobia, various challenges are like we have, as you can see here, it is suppressed by background. For example, the phobia, as we know, is dark in intensity. So if there are darker intensity regions lying nearby phobia, then it becomes difficult to identify the phobia. Then various error due to suppressing of background. For example, this image here we cannot identify the phobia properly because this region is purely moved into darkness, or it is purely affected by the background. So that is why in these cases we cannot identify phobia properly. Then various other issues like, as we can see here, there is a hemorrhage lying near the phobia. So actually the phobia should be identified here. This plus shows the actual phobia location, but due to presence of this hemorrhage, the phobia is getting identified here. Then due to severe maculopathy cases, for example, here in this case, the phobia is fully covered by exudates. So we cannot see any kind of dark region here. So the phobia detection algorithm fails here. So this is the other cases or other case of failure in phobia detection or the challenges that we found in phobia detection. Similarly, here also, as you can see here, the phobia region is fully covered and there is hardly any dark intensity present here. So by simply using intensity algorithms, we cannot identify phobia if it is affected by the abnormalities. Next is the identification of dark lesions. So here, as you can see, dark intensity regions have similar intensities like fovea and blood vessels. So blood vessels and macula or fovea region hamper in the detection of these dark regions or dark lesions. So that is why we have to identify and eliminate or mask the blood vessel and macular region prior to the detection of these dark lesions. Or otherwise, we can also go for post-processing. Then fourth one is the bright lesion detection. So during bright lesion detection, the main difficulty that arises is similar to the optics detection. That means due to the presence of other bright regions, the exudate detection becomes difficult. So the other bright regions are like corneal spots, optic disc, soft exudates. So having this intensity pixels near the hard exudate region, we cannot identify the exudates properly, hard exudates properly. So these are the difficulties for bright lesion detections. Other bright lesion detection are like we have observed that using healthy fundus images. So healthy fundus images lead to various reflections, which are blood vessel and macular reflection. Most probably, okay, that we will discuss again in the third section. So those blood vessel and macular reflection will appear as brighter intensities. So if you are using bright lesion detection by intensity algorithms, then although the images are being normal, they are identified as retinopathic due to the presence of those reflections. So these are various challenges that we face during the analysis or detection of diabetic retinopathy using fundus images. Now moving on to the challenges of optic detection. So for optic detection, we have three stages as we have identified earlier are the since detections, first identification of the speckle noise removal. Now, in the speckle noise removal, if the algorithm is not proper, or if the algorithm blur the image, then it will take all the information of the edges. So, if the edge information is lost, then the other processes not work properly because the other detection processes require detection of ILM and RP layer and cis detection, which are having edges where we have to identify the edges. So that is why the noise removal must be proper so that it doesn't cause any amount of blurring at the edge regions. So there are various algorithms which we will discuss in the third section. Now, as we can see, the noise removal must be proper and it should eliminate the noise only, not the edge informations. Then second challenges that lies in ILM and RP layer detection or layer detection is the variation of intensity in the edges. For example, suppose if we using normal image processing algorithm, if we go for identification of any edge, then we have to go for selecting a threshold. Now that threshold might not be proper for a particular layer itself. For example, as we can see here in this image, here in this region the intensity is slightly different than the intensity in this region, but both of them are the same ILM layer. So that is why due to the variation in this intensity, if we are using a particular single threshold, then we cannot identify the layer properly. The layer will be coming as broken edges. So that is why the next challenge lying in the identification of layer is the variational intensity of layer edges. Then third hindrance or third challenge that we find in the cyst identification is the false positive of cyst or false positive regions which may get identified as cyst detection. This is occurring due to the presence of similar background. So that is why in order to eliminate this challenge, we have to go for proper background removal or proper background filtering, which will help in detection of the cyst regions only. So these are the various challenges that we find in case of detection using fundus and OCT images. So here we we complete the second section and we'll stop here for now, and we'll be discussing the automated algorithms or how we'll be using or what are the various algorithms that have been used for the automatic detection. We'll be discussing in the third section. So we'll stop here and we'll discuss it in the next session for the automated detection. Thank you.